If you're looking for homeschool sanity, welcome. I'm Dr. Melanie Wilson, Christian psychologist turned homeschool mom and curriculum author. But I was once so disorganized, I thought I had to quit homeschooling and stop having kids. Now, by the grace of God, I have 6 homeschool graduates. Whether we're discussing parenting, productivity, or practical tips, I pray that this episode is just what you need for happy, healthy homeschooling. Hey homeschoolers, it should be easy to teach life skills in our homeschools. The kids are cooking with us, cleaning with us, and even doing home repairs with us. But sometimes academics, activities, and daily life get in the way. We have good intentions, but before we know it, Junior is on his own, driving the car with no oil in it. Don't ask why I'm using that as an example. My guest today, Katie Kimball of Kids Cook Real Food, has joined me before to talk about teaching cooking skills. But today she is sharing motivation for teaching life skills if you've been putting it off, strategies for incorporating them into daily routines, and how to balance independence with safety. You'll want to listen to the end to hear about an exciting free resource your kids will love. Here's Katie. Katie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us again here on the Homeschool Sanity Show. I would love to have you tell us what has been happening for you and your family since we last spoke 3 years ago. Time flies.
Well, I've launched a kid out of high school, so that is significant. I have 4 kids. They're currently 10, 13, 16, and almost 20. And so, yeah, in 3 years, we got the oldest is finished with high school. He decided against college debt and started his own business doing video production. And, number 2 is now driving, has a job. She sets like massive financial goals for herself. She's like, I think I'm going to have 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 jobs this summer. And I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
So they're very different people. The oldest is a boy and the second is a girl. That may have something to do with it. But yeah, and so we're in the stage 5 parenting, I guess I usually call it, parenting a young adult.
Yes. Well, it's exciting for sure, and it has its own joys and challenges, but congratulations on that. So we are going to be talking about life skills today. And homeschoolers, I think, have a huge advantage when it comes to teaching life skills because we are at home with our children much of the time, except when we're running around to various activities that are available for homeschoolers. So we're not suggesting that homeschoolers aren't already teaching life skills, but we're going to really address how to make it easier for homeschooling families and the motivational aspect. Because I know when I was homeschooling my 6 kids, there are so many things that we want to get to, and it can be a challenge. So I am going to lean on your expertise and experience with working with thousands of homeschooling families. So that is a huge advantage that you bring to the table. So I know you have talked about teaching life skills like cooking and budgeting and how those types of skills can significantly boost a children's confidence and mental health, which I am all about. So can you elaborate on how these practical skills contribute to a child's self-esteem and overall well-being?
One of my favorite soapboxes is the Anti-Participation Award soapbox. And, there's participation awards in things like soccer and dance, but even at home, if we do things like say good job all the time, we're basically participating in that, like everybody gets a ribbon kind of culture. And kids see through that. They see that it becomes empty and the praise then means nothing. And so they're sort of left wandering mentally going, I wonder what I do that does matter. And so in order to have genuine self-esteem and genuine confidence, we have to give them something to do that matters, which means they need to have skills that they're trained in, and they need to be able to see the impact that those skills are making. So feeding a family, It is so clear that you are literally keeping someone alive with that skill. That one, doing laundry might feel a little less impactful, but
Hmm.
nonetheless, if you're doing something well, I mean, we know that feeling as an adult, like, I got through my to-do list, I was productive, I can see the room looks good and it feels good. Kids feel that too.
Mm.
They love the feeling of even if they've decluttered or organized one little shelf of their knickknacks or their Legos or something, they can see and feel the result. And that means, number one, we don't have to tell them good job because it's
Mm.
very, very clear. They know it. And number two, we can legitimately say, wow, this looks incredible. And
Hmm.
it's genuine praise. And so when we talk about kids' mental health, one of the theories on why anxiety is increasing so much these days is that kids aren't agents of their own destiny.
Mm.
They don't have things that they can do, or parents are helicopter parenting and they're like taking everything off the child's plate. We feel we're keeping them safe. We're actually making them very anxious because then they feel if a problem happens, I need mom or dad to fix it. And if mom or dad isn't here, I'm stuck. I'm done. Right? I have
Hmm.
nothing within me to be able to solve these problems. And so that's another reason why I think cooking and life skills are wonderful because they're very low risk ways to encounter problems, fail, and learn to get through that. And that's how we build that muscle of resilience. We've got
Hmm.
to give our kids problems so that
Hmm.
they become problem solvers.
Hmm. Excellent. And I was just thinking I might have to ask you to move over on your soapbox so I can join you
Oh,
there because I really have the same philosophy, and it is so important that we don't try to protect our kids
mhm.
from anxiety that comes from just not knowing for sure if they can do something.
Yeah.
They have to work through that anxiety to have success, and that will in turn reduce their anxiety going forward. So wonderful, wonderful. I love it. Okay, so I just spoke with a homeschooling mom this weekend who said, I don't have time to incorporate life skills into my curriculum. I am just too busy teaching all the things. So, what are some practical strategies to incorporate these life skill lessons into our daily routines without adding extra stress?
Well, I wouldn't look at it as a part of the curriculum any more than I would look at, getting out of bed or feeding them every day or like going to church or like building values that are important to you. We don't go like, well, truth and honesty needs to be part of our curriculum, right? Like that is what you learn by being a member of the family who values truth and honesty. And so
Hmm.
ultimately, although they definitely can, you definitely
Hmm.
can do like curriculum fun Fridays for life skills, whatever. I don't think you should see them as that pressure. I want to
Hmm.
give moms and dads out there the little piece of motivation in that,
Mm.
if we're talking about like our budget, what's the motivation for keeping a budget, for saving for retirement? Well, it's that long-term vision. Like it's
Hmm.
not fun for me to put $10 into my retirement account today. I don't care.
Hmm.
It's fun to think about the peace that I will feel in retirement, knowing that I don't have to keep working till I'm 80 or 90, God willing, right? Like,
Hmm.
oh, that's so wonderful. So we've got to look at our kids as the same. They are a long-term investment.
Mm.
And also actually some shorter term investments too. But when we invest time into teaching kids skills that will help support the household, not
Hmm.
only are we investing in their future as adults who feel a little more settled and are able to, seek their spouse or seek their wonderful career instead of like spinning around and going, I don't even know how to feed myself. I don't know how to grocery shop. I don't know how to clean this house. Like, why is there green stuff growing in my toilet? Like, those should not be the questions like weighing down our young
Hmm.
adult children,
Hmm.
right? They should be like, who am I going to fall in love with? What do I want to do with my life? Right. And so we've got to clear some of those little things out of the way for them, long term investment wise. Shorter term investment, by the way, if you have kids who know how to do laundry, who know how to cook, who know how to clean the green stuff out of the toilet, you ultimately will get time back in a fairly quick fashion. And so that's the motivation, moms and dads,
Hmm.
right? Where, yes,
Absolutely.
so it's going to take a little bit of time to teach, but likely, I mean, we are doing these things anyway.
Mhm.
We're doing these skills. The children, homeschoolers love it. They're around generally, unless you're like super overscheduled, which sometimes
Mhm.
happens.
Mhm.
So the goal is if I'm going to do a task that takes me 5 minutes, maybe that's wiping down the kitchen table and counters. Can I grab my 5-year-old and make allow that task to take 6 to 7 minutes because I'm talking them through it? It's only going to take, 2 extra minutes for like a week. And then you turn it over to them and you stay close. Now, like my child is wiping the counter poorly, of course, because they're
Mhm.
just learning,
Mhm.
but I'm doing dishes. So I'm
Mhm.
moving another task forward and I can glance over my shoulder and I can redirect and say, did you use the system? Did you make it like a checkerboard and go up and down? Bend down and look at right. You can teach kids these little tricks.
Mhm.
And then after another month, they're really good at it.
Mhm.
Decent enough. They're sufficient. And so then they can do that task. They're helping with the household. A lot of people will kind of throw the kids need to play more at me too. And yes, they do. Yes, they do. You know what? And we need to go climb trees with our kids. But that's the whole point is that if we're sharing the family responsibility, it gives everyone more time to go outside, climb the
Mm.
tree, go rollerblading, go for that bike ride, play both together as a family and as kids. Plus, especially the younger the child, the more this is true, work is play
Mhm.
and play is work. And so we need to give them that like playground of learning some skills and making it a little bit fun, but also, they're learning how to grow up and how to be an adult, and kids do that through play. So we can
Mhm.
allow them to play at their work.
Absolutely. Completely agree. That's wonderful. And, it's so funny how when you're a busy mom, that 2 extra minutes to teach a skill to a small child feels like an eternity.
It feels like forever. Like, oh, they're
Right.
slowing
And
down.
one thing that I think can help is if you actually time yourself
Mhm.
doing it yourself, and then time yourself teaching the skill. And you will find that most of the time, I would think that Katie is exactly right, that it is only a couple of minutes of your time, but that is an investment that will pay off. So I love that. Okay, so you have shared stories about families where these skills that we have taught children become crucial
Mhm.
during challenging times, such as a parent's illness. How can teaching these life skills prepare our kids to handle these unexpected family situations and also to foster resilience?
I've heard so many stories. I mean, just from like the mom who wakes up with the flu and the 7-year-old is able to get the 5-year-old breakfast. Like it's as simple as that. But what comes to mind most quickly is Sarah McClure, who had, I forget if she had 2 or 3 kids, all boys. And she said, praise God, I had taught them to cook very intentionally, and other household chores, laundry, vacuuming, everything, because she had a really tough pregnancy where she was on bed rest and like just feeling like death every day. At the same time, her husband had surgery on both legs. They were no adults could walk in the house. Can you imagine
No.
how things would break down in sort of your average American household where kids like they barely even know if they have soccer or karate that day. Like
Hmm.
they're
Hmm.
pawns. They get in the car, they go places, you know what I'm saying? So like she said, "Oh my goodness." Like she was able to easily direct like here, she's half dead, feeling half dead. Here are the things that need to be done today. They could do them. If she had waited to train when the crisis mode was already activated, like it just would not have worked. And so, like, I hope that no one has that particular flavor of crisis, but we're all going to wake up a little sick one day. Those of us still having babies, we're going to have days where, like, you get home from the grocery store, it's lunchtime, and the baby needs to nurse. It is just delightful to be able to delegate from the chair. I mean, we had a similar situation. When our youngest was 3, he got a concussion. And we were realizing that he is like, oh, that wasn't just a normal fall. He just threw up. Oh my goodness, we have to get on the call with the doctor. Do we need to go to the ER? And it was incredible to walk back down. The children had finished making the dinner. They had made homemade dressing. They prayed the meal blessing, and the 3 older ones were eating. And I was like, this is Like, this is the dream.
Mhm.
And that was, what was that, 7 years ago. So we're talking the oldest was 13 at the time. So, they were still pretty little, the three of them.
Yes. And I think that harkens back to what we talked about at the beginning, where I'm sure your kids were proud of themselves.
Oh,
They
yeah.
really felt great about being able to do that on their own.
And it's such a beautiful gift to give a child to be able
Hmm.
to say, wow, you did that.
Hmm.
Whether it's laundry or cooking or even just the smallest contribution. If we thinking about the smallest child, the 3-year-old who has, folded the washcloths
Hmm.
or,
Hmm.
has measured the salt to go into the soup. Our job is to use that little bit of brain power that we have left to say, oh, this soup tastes so good. Now, you know what? I think it's because the salt is right. Who put the salt in the soup? And then you're piling on those compliments that are not empty. They're real, genuine praise, and those also create a snowball effect that help kids want to come back and learn more and then do more.
Hmm.
So ideally, we can incorporate that into the system. Again, it's not curriculum. It's not like I have a little sticker chart, but
Hmm.
I'm just looking as a parent for those opportunities to say, "Wow, I see you did that." That
Hmm.
really helps the family. Like, how much more weight does that carry then? Good job, you know? So,
Yes, it's super memorable for them.
yeah.
So I do think that is a great picture that we can hold in our minds when we're thinking about skipping over the training of these skills because, oh, it's going to save me time. I think it just makes it all worth it, even if it does take you quite a bit longer to teach them initially.
And to
Okay.
keep up on them, like,
Yes.
truth be
Yes.
told, they might need reminders to
Oh,
do the
yes.
chore, and that can be mentally exhausting.
Hmm.
But that's where you like have a code word with, your spouse or whatever, like how do we remind each other like this is worth it? It's hard, but it's worth it, like
Yes, I would say that was probably my biggest
Mhm.
challenge was monitoring, evaluating the chores to make sure that they had been done and not just, oh yeah, yeah, I cleaned the bathroom.
Mhm.
That would get a little bit demoralizing for me because then I knew, okay, this child really didn't do the job and I have to bring them back in here and
Yep.
make sure that they do it. But I would say that even that is a short time over the lifespan of your family that you have to do that. Pretty soon, your child is mature enough to be able to follow through, even if they're not monitored all the time. So, just as an encouragement to you.
Yes, definitely, definitely. My two older ones, I'm like, well, I can give them any task I need because they are going to be detail oriented. They'll get it done.
Correct.
I
Yeah,
imagine there are actually some personalities who like never quite get better. Like the ones who
maybe.
just always want the easy way
Could
out.
be.
Just hopefully no one has too many of those.
Right. Right.
You can do it, you do it with like one or two.
Yes, you are right. Okay, so now I want to talk about the struggle with the balance between fostering independence on one hand and ensuring safety on the
Mhm.
other. And in particular, I can give you an example where this was an issue for me. I for some silly reason, I was very nervous about my kids using knives when they were younger, and I so appreciated that you had a knife safety course, that was free, for parents, and I loved the techniques and the strategies, for teaching kids how to use knives safely, but I have to tell you something so funny, I think that makes a larger point, which is that when my son got older, I put him into a cooking class with his sister at a homeschool learning center just because that seemed like the most fun class that he could take during that period of time.
Sure.
Um, and I was nearby at a local library while they were in class, and I get a call that my son had been cut in, in cooking class and had fainted. And I just thought, "What in the world?" But it turns out it was so minor, and he just fainted at the sight of blood. And
Right.
my larger point in saying this is sometimes we're overly concerned about something like that happening when it's really minor.
Mm.
You know, I mean, he barely needed a Band-Aid for that. And a lot of times that is what we're talking about. You know, our kids are not using chainsaws in the kitchen. They're not going to, lop off a limb. So I think a lot of times we have to just say, hey, is it worth the risk of a minor injury, which will be very instructive for our kids for the future? I'm sure my son is not going to cut himself with a knife again, not in a long time.
Yeah.
So what else can you say to help parents navigate that balance between teaching skills and safety?
We've touched on it a little when we talked about anxiety. So when
Mm,
kids aren't
mhm.
allowed to do things, we think it's keeping them safe. It's actually increasing their anxiety. And honestly, it makes them into more unsafe individuals. So imagine handing a child car keys or honestly
Mm.
a cell phone. I mean, we've all seen Jonathan Haidt, the author of Anxious Generation, is saying we are trying to keep our kids so safe in their physical environment, and yet we are allowing them on the internet, which is the most unsafe place for them, is far more unsafe. And
Mhm.
so, and I know he founded the Let Grow organization with Lenore Skenazy, author of Free Range Kids. I love her. She calls it a beneficial risk that
Mm.
kids need to climb the tree, use the chef's knife,
Mhm.
walk how many houses down, how many blocks down in their neighborhood, all the way to the store, do a transaction on their own. They need to do these things to basically inoculate their system that they are capable.
Mhm.
And kids like automatically know, like if you say you're allowed to climb the tree, they automatically will not go straight to the top on the first time. They'll go up a little bit and be like, okay, interesting. And they'll come back down. Then the next day they go up a little higher. Most kids sort of do that. They do this like rubber band thing where they go out a little bit and then they come back
Mhm.
to safety zone. They go out further, they come back. And so if we don't let them do these things when they're little and medium sized and teenagers and whatever, then all of a sudden they're going to have driver's licenses and cell phones and they will not know how to handle themselves at all. So we have to build up, again, it's sort of that muscle of risk
Mhm.
via the beneficial risk for just literally their physical safety, for them to be better at doing hard things, but
Mhm.
also for their mental health. Because again, if they have never taken risks, number one, when bad things happen, they don't know how to deal with it. And number two, they actually feel more anxious. No kid could articulate this. They're not going to be like, Mom, Dad, you're doing too much for me. I'm feeling really nervous about that.
Mhm. Mhm.
but but it's how our brains work. Where
Mhm.
maybe if the fence is too tight, if the boundary is too tight, all they're doing is looking around like where can I go? I'm not even sure. If the boundaries are too big, if we set no boundaries, they actually have anxiety as well. So we need to figure out where are some safe boundaries
Mhm.
within which our kids can make choices, within which they can have beneficial risk. And then every year of age, those boundaries get a little bit bigger so that they're learning, just like weightlifting, right? You start with 10 pounds and you do 15, then you do 20. It's the exact same thing with risk. And we have to give them physical risks. We have to give them ways to fail and let them work through that so that they can take bigger risks. Again, keep those car keys and those cell phones in mind. Parents,
Mhm.
if you don't have kids of that age, or if you do, you can look back and go, oh yeah, like they totally needed all of those experiences and responsibilities to be a driver whom I can
Mhm.
trust with the car keys.
Mhm. And along with that, I was often thinking that I would rather have my kids be trying things and making mistakes while they're in my home. And
Mm-hmm.
I can help them work through the consequences of their choices. Where once they're out of the house, they're going to be less likely to call me or be in person with me and my husband to kind of do some reconnaissance work on whatever it is that they have experienced. So um, be thinking about that as well. And I absolutely love your advice on that. I mean, we really are speaking the same language here,
For
Katie.
sure.
So I want to move into talking about a resource that you have available for homeschooling and other parents that I didn't know about. until fairly recently, and I am really interested in it. The truth is, I need to know more about exactly how it works, but it is a life skills camp. So, can you tell us what is involved and how it works?
Well, our Life Skills Now summer camp, it really answers that question of how do I find the time to fit this into my curriculum? Because we take basic life skills from sort of those hands-on skills we've been talking about, like cleaning and sweeping and car maintenance and bike maintenance and cooking, as well as emotional, what we call soft skills of emotional regulation, stress management, how to have a conversation and look a real person in the eye, not through a screen. We cover all of those as life skills. And what I do is gather experts in other fields because I'm an expert in the field of cooking and eating and healthy food. So I gathered experts in the fields of entrepreneurship and finances and auto maintenance. By the way, I'm not an expert at all in auto maintenance. So we went down the street literally to like our car guy, and he's now filmed 6 workshops with us on various aspects of car maintenance for kids and teens. And so it's incredible. It's an amazing opportunity for you as a mom or dad to say, all right, I don't have time to call up a chef and get some, real lessons in a cool
Hmm.
commercial kitchen. I'm not going to take my kid with me and ask my car mechanic to like teach us how to check the oil together. Like we don't have time for all that. The next best thing is to invite experts into your home virtually. And so that's what I've done is gathered all these incredible experts from like CEOs to our local florist and teaching 100 different life skills
Mm.
every summer. It's for ages 5 to 18. So the medium is a video. We tell our camp leaders if you can teach it in 12 minutes, don't take 15.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they're literally 5 to 30 minute videos. There are many, many are under 15, especially for the younger kids. And so the idea would be, in a homeschool day, you could be like, literally like at breakfast or at lunch or one of those like sneaky little times where you're not really doing anything. Be like, hey, let's watch this life skills video. You don't have to watch it with them. You may. You can
Hmm.
listen as you're doing something else in the background. And then every camp leader at the end gives the kids a mission. So
Hmm.
they'll say, your mission is, do this action. And the idea is that the mission is like a quick win. It's a 10 to 15-minute task they can do right away to implement that skill. So, yes, it's screen time, but it's
Hmm.
anti-screen time,
Hmm.
immediately where we're getting them off into the world. And the great thing is when the kids do feel that quick win and that sense of accomplishment, like, I did that. Some of them will then continue. One mom said, I couldn't believe it. My daughter ran from the like jumped up, left her half finished breakfast, went and organized her room the entire morning. And I know. And we had kids last year, we taught like bike maintenance, like how to wash your bike. And so like entire families of kids were out in the backyard, like learning about their
Mm.
gears and washing their bikes for hours. So
Mm.
it is more anti-screen time than screen time, but it's positively using the power of technology, to invite people you'd
Mhm.
never be able to meet and learn from into your home to teach kids again from the simplest sweeping to how to check your oil and how to check your tire treads, which I didn't learn very well because mine are bald right now. I just discovered from going into an oil change. I'm like, oh, I had a workshop on that. Why is that not on like my yearly checklist for my kids?
Right.
But it's incredible to hear like the
Mm.
family conversations that happen. And so this is a totally free camp.
Okay.
We do it free for a week, so there's about 20 skills a day,
Okay.
24 hours on demand access. And then if people think, "Ooh, I would rather do this over an entire school year,"
Mhm.
then they can purchase it to keep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wonderful. I mean, that just sounds amazing. So, speaking as a homeschooler, what you could do, I mean, Katie is really hinting at this, but you could incorporate it into a fun Friday
Hmm.
during the school year. You could have it be part of your morning basket time that you're just going to do one life skill a morning when you're able to, and then go ahead and act on it. I would probably. I would probably not do it as part of morning basket time because there are missions involved. To me, it sounds like a wonderful thing to do in the afternoon when the energy is flagging and kids are just, oh, I don't feel like doing my math work right now. Put a video on and then everyone commit to following up and doing the mission. I think what you have put together is absolutely brilliant. and so needed, not just by homeschoolers, but families all around the world. I imagine you have people participating in other countries as well.
We do, yes, all around the world. I mean, it's amazing. Some kids are like working on their English by,
Oh,
by
okay.
watching these videos, which is so wild. Like,
Yeah.
that's obviously another skill, but
Yes, it is. Well, I am going to be sharing information about how people can sign up through my link. You asked me to contribute a video, and I was very honored to do that. And so, my skill that I'm going to be teaching at camp is how to turn an acquaintance into a friend, because many children and even adults struggle with that, to know, how do I do that? Just wishing and hoping doesn't make it so, but there are concrete steps that we can take to make it fairly simple to do that. Of course, not every person is going to respond, and actually that's probably an advantage. I wouldn't want to be friends with every single person that I met. I would run out of time and energy for that.
yeah.
But I am hopeful that this will be a blessing to you and your family. Well, Katie, this was wonderful. I can't wait to share this with our listeners, and I'm going to give you the link after our discussion so that you can come to the show notes page and get more information. Thank you for taking the time to share this with us, and just motivate us really to include more life skills in our home education.
Well, you are so welcome. And actually, my team made a special link that
Oh,
is your link, but it's easy to say. So if
okay.
people, yeah,
Go
if
for
people
it.
want to go to kidscookrealfood.com/life skills sanity,
Okay.
uh, when camp is open, so like right now we're coming up on June 2025. When camp is open, that will be the page to get the free videos. When it's closed, don't worry. We'll have like 4 videos from past seasons. So there will always be something there for your listeners to use right away.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for doing that.
Of course.
I would have loved this resource for my kids. To register for camp now, before you forget, go to kidscookrealfood.com/life skills sanity with no spaces, or visit the show notes page at homeschoolsanity.com/life skills. Then get a head start on teaching one life skill this week. Have a happy homeschool week. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. I hope something you heard was encouraging. If you have a personal question to follow up, don't hesitate to message me. I'm at Homeschool Sanity on social media. Be sure to check my free resource page at homeschoolsanity.com/resource and find Sanity Saving Curriculum at funtolearnbooks.com. This has been a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.